And so as Mass General Law, I'm just indicating for all that we are being recorded, and if you're uncomfortable with that, you're welcome to leave and we can send the recording out to you at a later date. If you're uncomfortable being on camera, you can turn your camera right off. So we are recording and we have started. So the very first thing I want to say to our students, regardless of your learning selection, school will look very different this year. Okay, school will look very different. So those of you that are what I would consider an upperclassman, grades 10, 11, and 12, the school that you're returning to mid-September will not look like the school you left in March. All right, and so part of tonight is to kind of walk through what those things are. Okay, what is so different? Question from the chat: where do we find back-to-school shopping lists? There is no back-to-school shopping list. There never has been while I've been the principal. And I'm going to talk about what students will need as we go, but don't go buying anything just yet. Okay, so school is going to look very different. So in the hybrid model, our entire student body has been placed in one of two cohorts. Okay, there is cohort A, which is students alphabetically, purely by last name from A to K. All right, that is cohort A. Cohort A will be in person, meaning coming into school, taking the bus, driving their car, however they get to school, getting dropped off by a parent. Cohort A will be in person in the building on Tuesday and Thursday. Okay, so for Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, cohort A will be learning from home. Those are not days off from school. The very first thing I need students to understand is that this is not like last spring, where you could go and get a full-time job and then do your work asynchronously in the evening. No, even if you're out of school, you are required to be online and you are required to be working, and we'll talk about what that means. So you cannot, I challenge you to maintain that full-time job this fall. You need to be ready to go even if you're out of the building. So that's cohort A. Cohort B is alphabetically L through Z. Okay, last names L through Z. Cohort B will be in person, in the building, on the buses, driving to school on Wednesday and Friday. They will be learning from home on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Okay, to date, today, we have not changed anyone's cohort. It is right down the alphabet. All right, and we have not made one change. The requests have come in. We have not made one change. We are purely alphabetical at this time. All right, and there has been no talk of changing those cohorts. So what does that look like? A couple of things for students. As I say, this will not look like, will there be a back to school for the junior high? Ask the junior high. I don't know. Go to their question and answer. Anyway, I'm a little flip right now. I apologize. It's a Sunday night. So what will school look like? All students will have the ability to bring their own device, Chromebook, laptop, tablet. Students have the ability to bring their own device. If the student does not have their own device, the school will issue them a device. We need all students to have the ability to have a computer or the like in front of them all year long. If the school issues you the device, it will go to and from school. Okay, it'll stay with them. So in the next week or so, our tech department will be sending out a survey to students where you can make a request for a device. And just like we did last spring, the devices will be picked up on campus and they will be yours for the school year. All right, so what is the school supply list? I want parents to hear this from me because the student will come home and say, I need the Cadillac, when the Honda will get you to school as well. What do I mean by that? You don't need a MacBook with thousands of dollars of software on it. What you need is a Chromebook that can handle the Google Suite, okay? You need a web browser. That's what you need. So if the parents out there that their kids are gonna say, but everybody else has a MacBook, that's not the case. Of course, the MacBook works, but everything else works as well. So if you don't have your own device, the school will be issuing those devices. I'm going to try to pick off some questions in the chat. Do the cohorts have the same number of students? No, they don't, but they're pretty close. When will the school issue the device? We'll get that information out to you this week. What kind of tablet will the schools use? We're not issuing tablets, we're issuing Chromebooks. Why aren't they splitting the week Monday cohort, then Thursday? So this is a good point about why we split the days the way we did, why cohort A is Tuesday, Thursday. And so this notion that keeping cohorts together so that the school can have a deep clean, please, would you please mute yourself if you're not on mute, so that the school can do a deep clean, or so that we don't cross-contaminate. Those are not, that's not part of what we're talking about. The school will be deep cleaned every day, all day long and all night long. So that is not our concern. Our concern is for the hybrid. Why those days? Because we had to put a priority on students being in the building. I did not feel comfortable having students come to school Monday, Tuesday, and then not seeing them again until the following Monday. We learned a lot from last spring. We lost a lot of students who fell off the grid and just we didn't have eyes on kids, and we're not going to do that again. So we prioritized one day on, one day off to get kids in the building, to get them in front of their teachers for in-person instruction, period. The idea of a super cleaning the building is going to happen nonstop. If all goes well and there are no virus issues, can a student switch into school from fully remote? Absolutely, and vice versa. You did not make a binding selection. You did not make a binding learning selection. So if you're not satisfied with the hybrid schedule and you want to opt for remote, that can happen at any time. Same thing with the remote. If you want to switch, you can get into remote if you don't like, or from remote into the hybrid. All right, we'll talk a little bit about that stuff. All right, so I'm going to continue. So Chromebooks will be issued to students. There is no homeroom, students. Upon arrival, students, if you arrive prior to 7:20, you will be safely socially distanced in the cafeteria. If you arrive after 7:20, we'll be moving all students to their block 1 class. There is no homeroom. So again, life is going to be different at the high school this year. There are no lockers. So students will not be assigned a locker this year, and they won't be accessing them. So we have the return of the big, bulky backpack. We worked so hard to get those out, and now they're back. So carry all of your belongings, everybody, okay, from class to class. We need as few transitions in the hallway as possible, and we don't need people stopping at lockers. So carry all of your belongings with you. Throughout the school, again, your classes will not look like what they did last March. Each classroom in the high school today has been set up with 6 feet of social distancing from class to class, from desk to desk, and the teacher's desk. So what that means is you're going to walk into your class and be assigned a seat, and it's your seat. The seat doesn't move. It stays there. Okay. And so you're used to walking into a class where there's 20 to 25, sometimes 30 desks in a classroom. Get ready to walk into classrooms with 12 desks. Okay. Some classrooms in our school are bigger than others. We can hold up to 14 and 15 in some, but there are no extra desks in classrooms. You sit in your seat. That's your assigned seat. Let's see if I see any questions I can hit in the chat. Students can go full-time at any time. Students can join the hybrid at any time, yes. How will students get textbooks if fully remote? This is not the fully remote platform. We're talking hybrid today. I have more concerns that won't be seeing a teacher for each classes in person. I have some concerns that they won't be seeing a teacher for each class. So in our hybrid schedule, you'll see your teachers every week. What is on time for drop off if after 7:20? Good question. You have to be in homeroom. Excuse me. I did it. You have to be in block 1 no later than 7:30 to be on time. How do bathrooms work? We'll talk about that. What is the school doing to have outdoor classes? Yep, we are actively encouraging our teachers to take kids outside. Okay. If someone has a lead on one of those local companies that wants to make a donation or give us something at a reduced price, please do. Send me those leads. We've got teachers excited to do some outdoor learning. Will students see all their teachers in the hybrid? Yes, they will. If a parent's schedule doesn't work for the cohort their child is, can a parent make a request to be in a non-assigned cohort? They can make the request, but to date, none have been approved. How is the teacher working with students in class and remote simultaneously? We'll talk about that. All right, bang through a couple of those. And then lastly, there's no rotation of blocks. So our students are used to the rotation of a class. We're not rotating blocks this year. We need as consistent a schedule as possible. So the students are used to receiving an 8-day schedule. 4 classes on one day, 4 on the next, but then they rotate through the 8 days. Students will now be receiving just 1 day 1 schedule, 1 day 2 schedule, and that's it. Okay, that is it. The blocks won't rotate. So it's a consistent, when I arrive to school, I'm going to the same block. I'm not going to a different part of the building. It's consistent. Are sports still on? This is in a private question. There's a lot of work to do to have sports this year, but we've got the initial go from the MIAA. Will all students going to school on whichever day be able to ride the bus to and from school? So that was part of our learning selection survey that went out. If you're interested in riding the bus, hopefully you selected that, because we are carefully planning our bus transportation and students are going to be assigned a seat. How will students be able to participate in gym art or other electives that involve shared space or supply? It's a very good question about electives and sharing of things, and we have lots of guidelines for students to follow. So some classes won't be able to run, and we're going to talk about that. So actually that leads to my last question. My last point of emphasis is that the schedule that students had when they left in the spring may not be the schedule that they have this fall. Okay. Our priority number 1 is student and staff safety. So if we can't safely run a class, we won't run the class and we won't even try it. Okay. We want to ensure student and staff safety. Okay. So that is priority. So I can promise you many schedules are changing. All right. And they're going to be, and even the one you look at today may look very different in September 16th once we start plugging our cohorts in. Okay. Our staff comes to work on Tuesday. Their very first task is to assess, do all of the students in each of my cohorts fit in my classroom? If they don't, we need to find other locations in the building and really consider our school as a campus. And if they still don't fit, because we do have some large classes, then we need to make some schedule changes. So please, it's a year of flexibility, and kids that were left school in spring with the schedule of their dreams may not be there when they return. However, in normal school years, we have a hard and fast no dropping policy of classes. We will go to a 2-week add drop. So we will allow students, because our students signed up for classes last March, anticipating a full in-person experience. So if you signed up for ceramics and all of a sudden you're taking clay home to use ceramics at home, that might not be the experience you wanted. So we will allow students to change their schedules for the first 2 weeks. Even AP classes, that's always been a no-no for our school. But I would assume our AP students signed up for classes thinking they would be fully in person. So the level of outside work may be a little much for them. I'm going to try to pick off some in the chat here. Is there an update on music classes, band and chorus? It is my intention to offer the students a full experience. I know we're not going to be running beginning guitar, but I hope to heck we're running band and chorus. But stay tuned. There are guidelines from the Department of Elementary and Special Secondary Ed that outline how to safely conduct music courses. Parking situation for this year, students are allowed to park on campus until October 1st. After October 1st, they'll need to get a parking pass. It is not my intention to charge kids full price for a parking pass when they're not allowed to be on campus every day. So I get it. Will 9th graders, so if you're reading the chat and you're wondering where are these questions coming from, some of them are sent to me privately. Will 9th graders have an orientation to the high school on their first day in school? We're working on it. We're going to try to figure out how to safely do a freshman orientation. I'm so sad for my freshmen right now. I love freshman orientation. I think we do a heck of a job at our school with freshman orientation. I love my summer meeting with as many freshmen as I can for half-an-hour meetings. And I haven't been able to do that this summer. So I understand being a freshman's hard in a regular year. And so this is quite irregular. So we have not forgotten about our freshmen. On the days that we are home, what will learning look like? I will talk about that. Will all student drivers be assured parking? Yes, they will. Does the day end at 2 p.m.? Yes, it does. When do students get their schedule? So as far as I know, that we have quote unquote flipped the switch on Power School. So I'll talk about student schedules in a minute, but as far as I know, that students can see their schedules right now. If that's not the case, someone could put that in the chat, and I'll make sure we flip the switch tomorrow morning. How will ninth grade orientation work? Explain the actual class schedule. All right, that sounds like a good idea. So here is the actual class schedule. I'm going to share my screen for a minute. All right, here's the actual schedule. I know it's super small. So here's what the schedule looks like. All right, so as you can see here, everyone is learning from home on Monday. So this is an opportunity to bring the two cohorts together. So the day will start with our Bulldog block for students. So students will still have their Bulldog block mentor that they've had historically. Then we will go through our day one schedule from home. Okay, so that will be done in a Zoom video conference with students. So that brings the cohorts together, and they're smaller classes of 30 minutes. There is a midday break. You can see here from 10:20 to 11:45. Students can get lunch. Please get up and stretch. Turn off the device, get outside, do something, because Zoom fatigue is real. And then they start the second part of their day here from 11:45 to 2. So that's what Monday looks like, and Monday is very unique. But all of the classes are running on Monday. Then what does the rest of the week look like? So I'm just going to jump and say that I'm in cohort A, D for Duval. So D for Duval comes on Tuesday. This is my cohort. I will arrive to school for block 1 at 7:30. I noticed that there is no homeroom, so I will go straight to my day 1 block 1 class. I will be in that class from 7:30 to 8:45. At 8:30, my teacher that I'm learning from will turn his or her attention to the students in cohort B. Cohort B students, you still have day 1, block 1. You have work to do during this period of time here, and then you go live at 8:30. What happens at 8:30? Teachers take attendance, teachers answer questions, provide support, provide clarifications, assign homework, due the next day. All of that happens at the end of a class while this cohort A is still in front of the teacher. Okay, so think of this as like 10 students in person, 10 at home that come in at 8:30. Then I get to the end of my block, it's 8:45. Look at this, folks. We have 15 minutes of passing time. It is an elaborate dance we are doing through the hallways at different staggered times. I will explain that later tonight. So then my next class begins at block 2 at 9 o'clock. Same thing. I have 75 minutes of class, but the last 15 minutes at 10 is here. So Reagan reposes in cohort B. Reagan and I have the same schedule, but Reagan is cohort out this day. So she's not in the building. So Reagan at 8:30 has to be online, and then Reagan at 10 has to be online, okay, for her attendance to get marked present. We still have our same attendance policy. All right, you can lose credit in a class if you have too many absences. So even on the days you're out of the building, you need to be present in class. So that's again why this does not look like last spring. Last spring, you could sleep all day and work all night. That's not going to work this year. Then I go to my next class, my block 3. Why is this a little bit different? Because we have lunch built in. We'll talk about that right now. Right now, today, I don't know if I have 2 or 3 lunches, okay? I know I don't need 4 lunches, but I know to safely space my students in lunch with masks off, I know I need probably 3 lunches. So I'm going to look at that, and we'll get more information to kids. Then I have block 4, and again, Reagan would join her group at 1:45. Now, my Wednesday, I am part of cohort A, so I'm learning from home. Okay, that doesn't mean I sleep till 8:30. Okay, that means I'm engaged in whatever learning activity my teacher has here, and then I log in at 8:30 for my attendance, to ask questions, to turn in my work, to learn about the homework, and to join my teacher in person. Reagan comes in at 7:30 for her homeroom, no, for block 1, and she's in person here. Then Reagan moves to the next class. I don't move to the next class. I start working on my next class with my live check-in at 10 o'clock. And then that's how the week looks. So I am in person, cohort A, Tuesday and Thursday. Reagan is in person, Cohort B, Wednesday and Friday. All right. I'm going to jump over to the chat in the event that there were questions. Will remote day and hybrid out days have requirements with Zoom this time around? Yes, they will. In the event that a student or staff tests positive for COVID, what are the next steps? That is a long answer that we will communicate by our school nurse. I really just want to focus on the academic piece tonight, but we do have our COVID health plan. Students use computers in class. What is being done to assure clean down for the next student? Great question. So the beauty of a 15-minute passing period is that we are going to be cleaning every classroom in between sessions. Okay, that's the beauty of this building in the extra passing period. So that affords the opportunity to wipe down all learning stations. Where do students eat lunch? They eat lunch in the cafeteria. Will there be live streaming of classes when the students are at home on their days off? That we will not be live streaming classes while the students are home. The time for live synchronous is the last 15 minutes where we'll bring the kids from home in, and then all day Monday is live streaming. Grading, we will be issuing historical traditional letter grades in both of our plans. I got it in the private chat. I believe that PowerSchool is available on the mobile, but I know I can't access it on my computer. Good to know, Emma. I will let our tech staff know that PowerSchool isn't up on computers yet. Will the teachers be live streaming to all students? I think I just answered that. When planning this year's schedule, I drop one of my classes because of the other class times. Is there a possibility? Yes, you can add and drop classes in the first 2 weeks. Why are classes 75 minutes? They've always been 75 minutes. How's that for an answer? And we want as few transitions as possible in the hallway. Look around the state of Massachusetts. Most schools learned what Old Rochester did back in 1998, that 75 minutes is good. We've been doing it since 1998. Most schools that I know of are adopting our schedule. Man, does that feel good. What is your return to school full-time plan? I don't know. Let me finish this plan. We're talking about the hybrid plan tonight. Do students have to wear masks while sitting at their desks? 100%. I will talk about masks in a minute, but 100% when you're in the building, you are wearing a mask unless you are at lunch, seated with your butt in the seat, socially distanced from your neighbor. 100%. The first time we see somebody that doesn't have a mask, there is no reason to not have a mask unless you're having a medical issue. Are AP testing and standardized testing going to change? Likely, but we don't have information yet. We do know that they've added a PSAT in January. We're all used to having a PSAT early fall. They've added a January testing, which is smart on their part. So when they are home, they are assigned work to complete from 7:30 to 8:30. Correct. Will any mask be acceptable? We'll get information out about what kinds of masks for sure. So on home days, do teachers start at 7:30 or 8:30? Our teachers are in the building at 7:20. They start teaching the kids in front of them at 7:30. I'm not sure about that question. Do teachers and students have to use their sick days if they must self-quarantine? That's a human resources question for teachers. Students, the beauty of this is that if a student is out sick with maybe they're quarantined for some time because of a family member, we hope that this will allow them to continue to learn through the model that we have. You can still learn from home. 15 minutes of passing, where do they go if you're cleaning? We've got it planned. Don't you worry. I'll talk about that in a minute. What is being used to clean the classrooms? We'll talk about that. Why can't the children in AP classes return full time? Because that's not equitable. All of my students are important and not just my AP students. And my teachers are teaching all students, not just AP students. So they can't just focus full time on AP. How will classrooms be cleaned every period? We'll talk about that. Why can't the teacher stream to student and teach everyone concurrently with remote and in-person classes? Because we are not we're not equipped for live streaming. It's just the answer. We don't have cameras in every class. We're just not equipped for live streaming. How will seniors communicate with the guidance counselors in regards to college? So that's a huge priority for me. And it's been a priority for me all summer long. I've talked with my guidance counselors. It should look the exact same. Seniors working with their guidance counselors. Our guidance counselors will be going into English classrooms to work with them. They will have Bulldog Block with them. They will have directed studies with them. It will look the exact same. If it doesn't, we did something horribly wrong. The priority for me is to position our students for excellence and college acceptance. So That is a priority. How do buses work? Regular bus routes, assigned seats. What if a student loses their mask? Each classroom is equipped with extra masks. What about making up the MCAS? We haven't heard yet. I'll let you know as soon as I know. Sorry, typed wrong. Home days. The students start at 7:30. Students should start at 7:30, but they aren't required to be there until 8:30. Will masks with vents in the middle be allowed? I'll ask my nurse. All right. If you are in a cohort on-site day but choose to stay home, do you adapt the alternate cohort sign? No, you stay in your cohort. So if you choose not to come to school one day, you're absent. Okay. If there's a reason that you're absent, you have to alert administration and we'll figure out what to do. All right, I'm going to continue with some information as we go. This is, again, pertains to just the hybrid. I've talked about how classrooms are set up, okay? So here, imagine this, everybody. You've got an assigned seat, and it's 75 minutes long, and the ability to push desks together is gone, all right? And the ability to get up and walk around the room is gone. Like, this is troublesome to me, okay? Anyone knows me, I'm a fidgeter to begin with, so I would have a hard time sitting in my desk for 75 minutes. So every class has a mandated mask break where the teacher will be taking students outside, mandated. No teacher's allowed to opt not to go. You're going outside, and everybody in your class is taking their mask off, safely, socially distanced outside. That gives a couple things. You get up to walk around, you get some fresh air outside, and you get that annoying mask off, okay? And then when you return to the building, the mask goes back on, all right? So the arrival time, as I alluded, students can be dropped off. So students arrive to school in 4 different ways, okay? 4 different ways students arrive to school. The first way they arrive is by the bus, and those students will get off the bus behind the school and will enter underneath the cafeteria, where they'll report to the cafeteria should they arrive before 7:20. I don't know what time the buses are going to arrive this year because we're looking at half or less than half of the pickups. So when they arrive, they'll report to the CAF. If it's after 7:20, they'll report to their Block 1 class. The second way students arrive to school is they drive themselves, and they'll park in student parking. Those students will enter anytime between 7 and 7:30, what I'm calling the preschool loop, or it's the loop behind the gyms. There's a little driveway there. There's an entrance there. That's where our student drivers will enter the building. At this third way students arrive to school is their parents drive them, and they access what I call the Marion entrance. The Marion entrance pulls up to the stop sign by the tennis courts. Those students will enter the building anytime between 7 and 7:30, and they enter by the auditorium gymnasium entrance. And the fourth way is they access the Mattapoisett entrance, which brings you to the front of the school, and the flagpole students can enter from 7 to 7:30 there. So we believe that by staggering arrival times, by moving kids to 4 different entrances, will mitigate student exposure. All right, let's see. There are directed studies in the schedule, okay? There are directed studies, all right? We worked so hard last spring to make sure that students only had 1 directed study. Schedules will be changing between now and September 16th. Students may look at their schedule and say, oh crap, I now have 2 studies, not 1. Maybe they're not saying, oh crap, maybe they're high-fiving their friends. They have more studies. If they want to add classes, they can. What happened between the spring and now is we decided we couldn't run all of our classes, okay? Couple things. It didn't make sense to run a class because of the style of class and the restrictions for safety. That's one reason. Also, the low enrollment. Once our remote learners came out of the schedule, some class sizes went really down, and it did not make sense to use our manpower to teach those classes. Bathrooms. Okay, how will bathrooms work? As a school, we have bathrooms positioned on both floors on all sides of the school. We are only going to allow 2 in and 2 out at a time, so that this is not a place for kids to go and hang out. That's a huge problem. That's the fastest way for a kid to want to get thrown into the remote learning. If you can't handle our school rules, you might as well learn from home, because we have to keep everybody safe that enters our building. So 2 in and 2 out. So how do we do that? So bathrooms are going to be closed during passing time. They're going to be closed 5 minutes at the end of every block and passing time, and 5 minutes into the next class. Why? Because we've increased our maintenance and custodial staff during the day shift so that we can have a full bathroom clean throughout the day in between classes. It takes about 10 minutes to dry once we've skunked the bathroom. So that 10 minutes, we're going to be closing the bathrooms to do a deep cleaning. So how does a student go to the bathroom then? They go from their class. We are going to subscribe to a software called eHallway Pass. So students from their device at their desk can fill out a pass, an online pass. You will not be able to fill out a pass if the bathroom is full. Okay, so if you could picture like the queue when you go to urgent care, you get into the queue. Okay, so it is not going to be I mean, you're going to really have to coordinate meeting your boyfriend or girlfriend in the hallways this year. There is going to be very little hallway traffic. So that's how students will access the bathrooms, is by a software that will tell us if the bathroom is open or closed at that time. There are enough bathrooms around the school. So you might be in the English hallway and the English bathroom might be full. You can wait for that one, or you can maybe access the math bathroom or the science. So there are enough bathrooms. Let's see. Please mute yourself. All right. Online classes days, sign in at 8:30. So home learning days, sign in the last 15 minutes of each class. So it's 8:30, it's 10 o'clock. So there are different times. What happens when it's bad weather? Do we have a plan? Our bad weather is to go outside in the bad weather. Our kids are all going to have their jackets with them. If going outside is really a bad idea, then we can socially distance safely in the cafeteria, because that's in the cafeteria is a time that kids can have their masks off. So yes, we do have a plan. What if there are outages? Oh my, I just picture like the Simpsons episode where there's just chaos in the classroom and outages. I don't know. I hope we don't have outages, but we will have to figure it out. What happens when the students have technical difficulty when in remote session to communicate during their simultaneous session? Well, the hope is that they would be able to communicate that to the teacher, and cooler heads and sensible thinking will prevail. So if a student has a legitimate tech issue, I don't want to be in the business of being punitive. We'll work together. We're all kind of learning as we go here. My child gets extra help with a teacher. Could he maybe come in an extra half day? So if a student's on an IEP or has some difficulties maybe with their own technology at home, or we are going to be sending out invitations this week for students to access the building more than just their hybrid in days. So stay tuned. Since students alternate between 75 minutes and 15 minutes a day, does that mean the curriculum moves at a slower pace? That's a really good question. Part of the 10 days of teacher build-up that start on Tuesday is to examine the curriculum and to examine what is best practice for 75 minutes and 15 minutes. What in our curriculum would we classify as a priority standard for learning? So that's a fluid situation right now. So I wouldn't say that curriculum moves at a slower pace. I think it moves at a different pace and a different style, and learning might look differently this year for students. Will students as well as staff be screened prior to getting on the bus? No, the screening will be done at home. Okay, so please, we're going to send information out about what that screening would look like at home. How will lockdowns and fire drills work? We're going to do our regular ALICE training for students, so that's coming. Our ALICE and lockdown and fire drills. We sign up for the bus. Do we have to take it every day, or can the student be driven? You can be driven on some days as well. Communication would be great if you could. If you miss the bus and you forget to email and say I'm not coming on the bus, no, life will go on. Just do your best to communicate with us so we know what to expect. Can I quantify the investment needed to enable live streaming for the full 75 minutes? I cannot today do that. I believe that was quantified and was done. I can look into it, but that was not my job. Not my assignment to quantify that investment. I had other assignments. When will the kids know their schedules? My son has been doing AP work all summer. So I would imagine that your AP class didn't change, okay, because those classes are running. The AP classes are running. We didn't consolidate or remove those. Students, as I was told tonight, they can access their schedules on their mobile devices, but not in the browser on a computer. So I'll look into that and I'll get that out tomorrow. Why can't, I'm making notes, why can't kids see their schedules? You should be able to. All right, what are the consequences for individuals who do not follow health and safety guidelines? It's easy. This is going to be the easiest year in the world to do discipline. You can't follow health and safety, see ya, go home. All right, learn from home. We have that option. We haven't had that option before. It's a very easy one, and we're not debating it. You don't want to wear your mask? Awesome, go home. All right, you want to move your desk beyond 6 into like 4 feet and 3 feet and 2 feet? Great, you just opted for remote learning. Have a nice day. What will these devices be? So you can bring your own device, or we will be issuing the school Chromebooks. How do snow days work? Oh, how do I know what snow days are going to look like? Who knows? One thing when all this chaos hit last spring, I said to myself, we never have to take a snow day again. And I believe that. So I'm going to push hard that there's no reason to take a snow day, no reason to make up school in June. We can forge ahead. What do we do? Study with. What do we do during study with online classes? Enjoy your free time. Water bottles or access to water fountains. Very good question. We're encouraging everybody to bring water bottles. Bring your own water. The water bubblers, where you stick your head over the water and you slurp all over the place, are not best practice. Are there doctors out there that can confirm that? Not a good idea. So we're going to be looking at water bottles, and we do have refillable water stations throughout the school. That should hopefully help a lot. Question privately, is cohort A to M? No, cohort A is A to K. Cohort B is L to Z. Outages should have been part of planning since students are working from home. They will be marked absent. Well, the good news is we do have more time to plan between now and September 16th. I will write it down. Outages. All right. I think you said this, but every student gets assigned a Chromebook if they need one. So we will be sending out a survey soon that families can request a school-issued device in the event that they don't have one. Will there be snow days? I think I just hit that. On Monday, they are in school online all day, not at the end for 15 minutes. That is correct. If desks are socially distanced, why wear masks at desks? Because our desks are going to be 6 feet apart, and that's not Old Rochester. That is state guidelines. Masks on in class, period. We're not going to debate, is that 6 feet? Is that 6.5 feet? Is that 6 feet 1 inch? We're not debating it. We don't have time for games this year. Will teachers be available for help after school? 100%. Most likely that extra help will be done in a video conference, because for me, especially at the beginning of the year, I really want to clear the campus at the end of the day to make sure we're doing things the right way. Will you be able to take a friend home on your bus? It's going to be hard. And the answer is only if there's space. Okay, so the same thing for bus notes. You'll report to the office to submit a bus note, but we're not guaranteeing that. We can't provide for friends. My son pulled up his schedule on his PC. Could a browser issue? I'll check on that. I appreciate it. How can you be 100% certain that every kid is screening correctly and not just sending their kids to school sick and hoping for the best? Nothing's 100%. So that's my answer to that. No snow days. We earn that for sure. No snow days. Schools should be responsible for the screening. Well, we're not. So there is also the remote model if you're not confident to send your kid to school. Since school starts on a Wednesday, what is the first day of in-school learning? What a great question. And I forgot to mention this. So Wednesday, September 16th is our first day of school. As a school, we decided, and this is important, and you don't have to write any of this down. As a school, we decided that day is going to be our full remote day, meaning it'll be a Monday. It'll look like the Monday schedule, because we did not want to start the year throwing the cohorts off. So we are starting Wednesday, September 16th with a Monday schedule where every kid will have video conferences with all of their teachers. Backing up a little bit, remember the step-up day that we did last spring? We're going to do a second step-up day, likely the day before, okay? Because I don't want any problems with the onboarding process. I want every kid to know, how do I log into my Google Classroom? How do I hit the Zoom with my teacher? We need to get those things done. So thank you for bringing that up, M. Tavares. Wednesday, it will be like a Monday where every kid will see all of their teachers. If a student or family member comes down with the virus, how is it communicated? Again, I'm really hitting the academics here. We will issue our health plan to the school. Can students drink out of their water bottles during class? That's a good question. It's such a silly question, but I don't want to say yes and then be told no by the nurse. So I'll ask. That's a great question. Can you drink out of your water bottle? Does AP Chem still have the lab class? Yes, AP Chem still has the lab class. And instead of it being all those AP Science classes, instead of them being every other class, they're going to do it every class. So if you have AP Chem on day 1, block 1, your lab is always going to follow it. How do we know where to go on the first day? I sometimes ask myself that question as a senior. How do we know where to go? We're working on our freshman orientation, Angela. It's a very good question. How will gym work? Gym is still still a law that all students must participate in physical education at the high school. So we will have phys ed, most likely outside, most likely with activities that do not involve breaking our 6 feet of social distancing. If band is a go and you have to bring an instrument to the band room, do you drop it off before you head to the cafeteria? That's a good question. I ultimately believe we're carrying everything from class to class, so I have to think about that. Instruments. These are all good questions. So will Thursday be a Thursday? Yes, and Friday will be a Friday that first week. I call it several times last week in high school. Phones are not working. I know. And I promise I didn't do that on purpose. I do want to hear from you. I promise. The phones are broken. And we have, I was going to show you, we have new phones going in this week. So I apologize. That is extremely frustrating and inconveniencing for not to have phones working. I've tried to be as responsive as possible to email. So please continue to email me if you have any questions. Will gym waivers for student athletes still apply? Yes. Will Chromebooks be issued before the 16th? Yes. So since it's not every other day for lab for AP Chem anymore, does that mean we have an extra study? It means you do not have that extra study. Students use computers in class. What is being done to assure the clean down for next student? So students are using their own computers, right? They're using their device. So then they're carrying their device from class to class. I think that answered that question. All right, I'm going to continue through my notes. Exiting the building. So at 2 o'clock, that's when our day historically ends. We're going to dismiss, this is going to sound terrible to the drivers and the seniors. We're going to dismiss the bussers first. So we're going to say, again, we're orchestrating a careful dance through the hallways. We're going to announce at this time what all bussers please report to their bus. So they go to their bus. They don't stop at their locker. They don't, they go right to their bus. Why? Because if you miss a bus, you're in trouble. That causes a family problem. If you are late getting to your car to drive home, it's not too much of an inconvenience. So bussers first, then you student drivers can race to try to beat the bussers out of the, oh gosh, good luck trying to beat the buses out of there. Then the student drivers will go next, and last will be parent pickup, okay? So we will move those students outdoors, parents, for pickup, so they're socially distanced. What else are in my notes? I talked about mask breaks. I have not talked about passing time. We will talk about passing time, how to get 300 kids through the building safely during passing time. We did build in 15 minutes for that purpose. Okay. I've gotten through my notes. Again, we've just been talking about the hybrid plan. Students use computers in class. What about CAD computers and cleaning down? We are able to use every other computer. It's a long answer, but the CAD teacher will have that answer. Will girls in gym class be able to do the RAD simulation? I don't know. I haven't thought about it. I'll ask my gym teacher. It's a good question. Any other questions out there? Do you picture having in-person club meetings after school? It is my intent, everyone, to be in the business of saying yes. Will there be sports? Yes. Will there be clubs? Yes. Will there be extra help? Yes. But we have to do so safely. Okay. We have prioritized all the way back since we started thinking about the fall in June. We've prioritized a full high school experience. We could have said we're not running electives. We could have said only AP classes. We could have done we want a full high school experience, which includes extracurriculars. So my answer is, will there be clubs? Yes. Will they be in person? Not initially. I don't see the way to do that. Okay. So I've tasked all of my club advisors, my staff, to think about their clubs and say, how can you offer it in a video conference or in a remote session or something to that effect? And the same would go for athletics. We've tasked our athletic director with creating a plan that does athletics safely, okay? And that is the priority. How is drama club going to work if it's running? I think I answered the same way. It's the burden falls on the advisor to create a safe environment if it's to be done at all. I understand the additional time to travel from class to class, but what happens when a student arrives to the next class 10 minutes early? Great. Open up your Chromebook and go at it. Relax, sit down. That is going to happen. We are going to have kids that are moving early. How is esports going to work? I don't know. Isn't esports the easiest club to run? It's esports. Start playing your games. I think that's the easiest one to run. How many people to a lunch table? Awesome question. That was done privately, but Kiara, thank you. How many people to a lunch table? There are no lunch tables. There are lunch desks that will be safely positioned through the cafeteria. Again, first thing I said tonight was this will not look like school, like you remember it. And it's sad for me. The saddest feeling for me is walking into the cafeteria. That's the saddest feeling for me, and seeing desks in the cafeteria. I hate it. That's what I'm going to say. Proper plan. Why hasn't it? Well, the ninth grade orientation hasn't happened yet because we haven't finished ninth grade schedules. That's the reason. Why haven't we reached out to local tent vendors? Who says we haven't? Did anyone see town meeting? Town meeting was a local tent vendor. It was good. We got it. If anybody wants a job at the high school, we're still hiring. All right. The chemicals used for cleaning the classroom have an odor. Looks like a question. I don't have an answer right now. We're trying to hit on the academics right now. How can you go into class early if classrooms are being cleaned? We're not going to class early. We're going to class in passing time, okay? Will mask breaks happen in the courtyard? Concern for the external doors being open and closed throughout the day. Mask breaks will happen in the front of the building, the back of the building, the side of the building, and in through the courtyard. We are going outside. How about hands-on classes such as engineering and robotics? Those teachers were given the Department of Ed guidelines to safely run their classes. It is up to those teachers to convince me that they can safely do it. How about cell phone policy? Oh, it's a great question. So you freshmen, our old cell phone policy was, it best known as away for the day. What does that mean? It means locked in the locker for the day. And you could access it, but at your locker, away for the day. So there are no lockers. So bing, 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 everybody can just go wild with their cell phones. No, they are still away for the day. They just happen to be either in your pocket, in your bag, or on your persons. So that's going to be even more tempting. So we are putting them away for the day. Cell phone policy remains true. We see the phone, you've lost the phone. Okay, and you can pick it up at the end of the day. Can seniors still eat lunch outside? Yes, they can, socially distance and safely. Good question. In fact, I would love to see us expand beyond seniors and to designate different outdoor locations for other grade levels as well, because I feel really good about being outdoors, especially in the fall. Other questions? The attendance policy still in place during this pandemic. Yes, we're still going to have attendance policy. You need to attend your class. If we are in a situation where a student is quarantined or sick and cannot report to school, I have a lot of compassion and we have a lot of empathy, and I'm certain that we will not go straight to punitive taking away course. We will work with the family. We'll work with the student. The most important thing, regardless of an attendance policy, is the learning. If you're quarantined at your home for 14 days, I'm worried about your health, and I'm also worried about the learning. So we'll figure it out. Will school be providing lunch? The kids have to bring their own. It's a very good question. We will be providing lunch, but it will not, again, it doesn't look like it used to. So the idea of the a la carte and going in and getting on the variety of different things, we are going to have a grab and go lunch. Okay. I was given privy to I saw what the menu looks like that will get out to families so you can plan. We will be providing lunch, but it's not going to look like it did. It's a good question. This may be said, how often are the math breaks? I can't say it enough. Every single class. So a student is going to be here 4 blocks a day. You can count on 4 mask breaks, plus the 5th is going to be lunch. All right. Will there still be school pictures? Yes. I missed the part about how grades are being divided up. Can you recap? I don't know how grades are being divided up. Grade levels, academic grades. We're going to be doing regular grading this year, like historical A, B, C, D, and letter grades and all that stuff. Class still be go on socially distanced field trips? Unlikely. Are there any of the senior privileges that are not possible in the pandemic? I don't know. Ask me which senior privilege. We got a ton of them. Will the state still mandate 180 days? The state has backed off of 180, gone down to 170. That's where they're at today. So that's what we're operating under. You're welcome. How are you encouraging and enforcing hand washing and sanitizing? Beating it over the head by the kids. They're going to hear that all day, every day. So that's going to be part of our health and safety plan. Is there a cell phone policy during remote learning? The remote plan, that's a different topic, different thing. So if you're not in the building, I can't police your cell phone use. That's just the logistics of it. What happens when a teacher tests positive? And we get a substitute teacher. And then we enact our health and safety protocols, which will include contacting people that need to be contacted. That's a good question. You got to get your questions in now because it's Sunday night and I'm going to turn into a pumpkin at 8 o'clock. I heard Wareham School starting mid-October. Will yeah, we're reassessing every day. What if the majority of the school staff test positive? I mean, that would probably call for a closing of school. Do all students need to quarantine? I don't. No, not all students need to quarantine. What are the bus schedules going to be posted? I didn't know it wasn't posted. Thank you for. Oh, I know it hasn't been posted because we have not gotten all of our cohorts to the buses. So I would expect. Very good question. When will the bus schedule be posted? I will push for this week. Great question. Push the bus schedule. Write that down. Where will it be posted? It'll be posted on the school website, the district website, and I will push it out in a separate school-wide email. Will hybrid and remote learners in the same class have the same work? So I try to separate the two words here, and this is probably good for everybody. I use the word remote to talk about the 11.5% of our students that have chosen remote. So that's a different, I try to keep those words. I like to call it hybrid in and hybrid out, okay? So I'm gonna use that question again. Will hybrid in and hybrid out in the same class have the same work? Ultimately, yes, but just on different days. Oh, that was a private question. Nobody saw what I was talking about. What is the policy for travel over holiday breaks? There is no policy at this time. We have, as a district, we have pulled back on our own school travel. So our foreign travel trips that were planned for this school year will not be happening. We have school trips. But at this point, it's probably something that we need to consider with our local Board of Health, the travel for families. Very good question. If you are not assigned a seat on the bus, can you take the bus? No. No. So really, if you need a bus, we're got to make sure you have that assigned seat. Okay. That will be a job we do over the next 10 days to make sure everybody knows where they're supposed to be. Say you go out of state for a vacation, would you be able to transition to remote learning for your quarantine period? I hope. I mean, if anybody's quarantined, you know, I would hate to just shut off their learning. So maybe it's a good suggestion. Maybe they slide over to remote learning for a little while. What is the process of switching over remote to hybrid and vice versa? Send me an email. Send me an email. Will any college reps be coming for informational visits? Good question, Maddie, right? I think that ultimately we're setting up remote or video conferencing for college reps. I go back to what I said. The college process for our upperclassmen is so important. And if we were to leave anybody behind in that or not help our kids achieve college acceptance, something went horribly wrong. So we will plan all of those things. I actually think now we can have more college reps be available because of the remote and the virtual environment. In the past, they actually came on campus. August 1st, you need to be. I don't know what that means. Is traveling to New Hampshire and Maine all right, or I don't know. I've traveled to my office and back every day since March 13th. Will this stream be archived to reference later? We're recording and it will be sent out. Does the remote track have totally different teachers for classes? Again, this is the hybrid talk, but just a quick answer. The remote track is done on GradPoint, which is an online platform. 8 o'clock, last call for questions, please. I apologize if any of my responses came off flippant or sarcastic. We have to laugh together. We have to. This has been really hard for our entire community. Okay, so I definitely don't take myself too seriously, and I'm not I'm not splitting the hydrogen molecule here. I am just doing the best that we can to educate our students. So people know if they want to switch to remote, how is the academics different? Well, there will be a remote Q&A like this forthcoming. So that might be the best place to go for that. You don't have to thank me in the chat. I appreciate everybody. It's been a team effort since March 13th. I'm just the messenger taking the bullets tonight. Okay, will an email go out to everyone on the, yes, of course. If you're new to the school, I tend to think that I over communicate and I flood your email boxes with things. So it's just about sorting through the baloney that I send out. Need volunteers for anything? Not yet, but we need substitute teachers. I can never think of a bigger need than subs this year. We're gonna need subs. If you want to be a sub, let me know. Where can we rewatch this recording? I don't know. I've never recorded one before, so I'm gonna hit stop in a minute and see if I didn't screw it up. We'll fingers crossed that it worked. Freshman students aren't on the email blast. They are now. We did that. We did that within the last 24 hours or so. It's a good question. I was still emailing the graduating seniors. They're like, dude, I'm so beyond high school. Leave me alone. So we graduated out the seniors and we rolled in those ninth graders. Any other questions? All right. Thank you, everybody. Again, it saddens me that school will not look the same for our kids. No one that I know got into education for this kind of a learning experience, but I will always project a positive attitude because I'm excited to have kids in the building. I'm excited for them to see their teachers. I'm excited to give them the best experience possible. So I'm excited for this school year, all right? And I hope that every other kid gets that same positive experience by re-entering the building. This is a special school, and I want them to feel that. So have a great night, everybody. I'm going to stop recording.